Okay. Oh, don't turn me off. Hopefully that wasn't heard. Discussing tabletop. Ooh. No. I see discussing tabletop there. Right. I don't know. Let me refresh then. See if I get advertisement. Nope. I just have oh, there's advertisement. Which I gotta mute anyway. There we go. Oh, that's nice. The advertisement has its own. If I get advertisement. Okay. I think you muted yourself. I can't even hear you anymore. Ah. So what do you not want to talk about with the Amonkhet? Oh. Sorry.
Hey everybody, that was an attempt at doing something. It's not working. I hope everybody's enjoying their day. Sorry about the not working new introduction, but you know what? We're developing it. As I said on Twitter, we can thank the very nice... Hey everybody, that was an attempt at doing something. Olirent, for... Yeah, thanks Olirent. Yeah, definitely the art was great, and I like the new overlay, so thank you very much. But let's just dive into today's episode. As much as that, trying to figure out the technical side of that, I'll play around with it and try to get it that I can have us be able to talk, and the little introduction thing. I figured out how to do it. Oh, God. Well, I figured out one way of doing it. It's a little more annoying, but whatever. I'll do it next time. Yes. All right, why don't we dive into discussing tabletop for this week, though? We have an exciting list of things to talk about. First off, Magic the Gathering. They've started their spoiler season for Amonkhet, the new set, early. So that's great. We do have some information on that. I think we're not going to talk a huge amount about some of the things with them that they've been spoiling. Just because I know next week I've so far got a guest that can help talk about that. So we will discuss a little bit about that, though, some of the information. We're going to move on to, though, after that, trio of subclasses for Dungeons & Dragons. Basically, the unearthed arcana has given us a archetype for 3 different classes. After that, I want to talk a little bit about Symbaroum and Harp, 2 fantasy systems that... Well, I didn't know a lot about Symbaroum because it's a new one, and Harp, which apparently is a little older, and I didn't know about it all either. You know, you always learn about new role-playing game systems when we're here. And then we are going to continue with the bane of my existence, Sherlock's and Holmes games. Because they don't stop.
At least it's not another Perlock.
No. But, we'll talk about why they're a bane, and why I'm confused about their existence at this point in time with the 4th update in a month, or new game in a month. We'll talk about that. 4 of them. 4 in a single month. I'll just let that sink in while we talk about everything else. And and all different companies, too.
Yes.
All right. We'll talk about that. So, let's start by talking about Amonkhet and Magic the Gathering, because that's, I guess, the first thing on the list. Not that we can't be excited for Sherlock Holmes games. So, first off, let's talk about some of the things that the first things they put out. So the first thing they're showing off is, of course, punch cards. You know what? Maybe next time I can get, like, down here in the bottom, a little window where I can show off and I can turn on when I'm looking at something. That might be a good idea. I guess people would like that, wouldn't you? Okay. But anyway, I'm going to leave a link to the article that's showing off the pictures in the description so you people can see it. But there's the link now if you want to kind of follow along. I'll try to keep that up at least for now. So first off, they're looking at a punch card. So it's an actual punch card. That'll be with tokens. That'll have embalmed, exerted counters, -1/-1 counters, and brick counters. So, I'm guessing there aren't a lot of +1/+1 counters that are there yet in this set. So I understand that's probably why we're not having them. But it's like, okay, this is actually a really interesting one. I like the sound of this because it's like, normally for a lot of these weird, like, marks or tokens or something, yeah, it's practical. It's practical.
Instead of using dice.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, yeah, you have to have all kinds of dice for all these counters and stuff, and hey, now you can just punch out stuff.
Only downside I can see is I hope they sell the punch-out cards. Like, you can buy a pack of them, because I can see losing those really easily.
It seems like you are at least getting them in packs. After that, I'm not sure. Because the thing is, I can still see using one of them with a die. It's just now that, like, you don't have just something randomly on there that
and you're trying to remember, oh, what kind of counter is that?
Or, like, let's say you get something that could get brick counters, and it becomes a creature, so it can get -1/-1 counters, and can all get this. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, the pre-release stuff, and I think Fat Packs will probably... I'm hoping Fat Packs have some more of them, because those are usually, they package a lot of stuff like the roll downs and stuff. So I think this is a really cool idea, and I'm hoping it works out well. They've showed off the promos also, some of the promos, which of course they have interesting ones, without going into too many details, of course, because it shows off the use of brick counters. You put brick counters on something, and if it has a certain amount of brick counters, you can do stuff. It shows that they're bringing back cycling, which you discard a card you discard the card you have to draw a card. So cycling's a thing, and cycling has come back a lot of times. So that's a cool mechanic. Yeah. And I like the embalm mechanic, but yes, and there are some new kinds of lands that you can draw into something. Those are the cycling lands. They have dual lands which can also cycle, which is new because normally when they had cycling lands, it was a single color that it could tap for. So thanks, Olorant. That's the other thing I did want to talk a little bit about, with the cycling. But before we dive into that, I did want to talk about the mechanic of embalming, because I think this is an interesting mechanic, but it also... There's 25 tokens because of it, I think. Because when the creature dies, you can pay a mana cost and basically embalm it for a token. That is like a version of it. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Like Unwavering Initiate.
Yeah, or
embalm 4 white, exile this card from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a white zombie human warrior with no mana cost. You can only do it as a sorcery.
And some of them have special abilities on it. Like, well, Trueheart Duelist keeps their special ability that she has, because she's one of the promos. Though I think there's, like, it's more of a... I don't know if it's a male version. Yeah, it's a white zombie. It's really unusual, because it's supposed to be like a mummy. Yeah. And it stays the same color. So it's sort of like it's coming back as a mummy, and it would be the same color. So that's very interesting. I think they've shown off the cards that are in the Planeswalker decks that are only in those decks, it sounds. Which a bunch of them are reprints. Like Giant Spider, Mighty Leap. Those are classic ones. I think Gravedigger's back, and looking really cool. If you can see the pictures of Gravedigger. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, where... I can't find it right now, but somewhere there's Cat Snake.
God.
Cat Snake!
Why is everything a cat?
I don't know, but Cat Snake is the most wonderful thing ever.
You're a cat.
Cat Snake is wonderful.
Cat
Snake for life.
In the chat too, there's also another good website called Mythic Spoiler that actually has it where you can actually sort it by color and everything else.
Well, there might be, because I guess the spoiler isn't up on Magic sites yet.
Yeah, so here's another good link.
Paper Tiger ruled, Olorant. Paper Tiger ruled. I agree.
But what about Rock Lobster?
Or, I'm forgetting the other one.
Or something scissor. Because it was rock, paper, scissors.
Scissor Lizard.
Scissor Lizard, right.
Yeah, which can all beat each other.
I think interesting, on the Mythic Spoiler, they have the invocations that are coming out, too, for it.
Because those
they're not standard legal.
Well, because they're like the inventions of Kaladesh.
But I just think it's interesting. It's like, but these aren't legal in standard.
Well, I think they're not supposed to be anyway.
I'm just saying, I think it's kind of funny. It's like, here's some new stuff, but it's not legal to use.
But they're ridiculous looking is the thing. They're hard to read.
Well, you can't read the name of the card because it's an Egyptian
It's not script. Actually. It's tricky.
Oh, no, I see. It looks Egyptian script, but yes.
They start out with a few
the text
Egyptian.
On the card is easy to read.
Yeah, they start with a little bit of Egyptian symbols and then move into it, so it feels like it's part of it. So it's tricky. You know, they look so cool. It's one of those things. It's like, granted, I don't I don't think any of them are like super like, oh hey, that's cool. I mean, Force of Will is kind of cool to get reprinted because you don't see that a lot, and that's was more of an expensive one. But like Wrath of God, that's like okay, or Eradicate. I mean,
Chain Lightning.
Oh, Chain Lightning's in there?
Yep, Chain Lightning deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Then that player or creature's controller may pay RR. I'm guessing red. If that player does, he or she may copy the spell, and they choose a new target up for that copy.
Thanks for the comic, Ulrant. That was great. I will have to link this in the OV. I'm sorry, OVA. Oh my god.
Nice.
The video when I put it up on YouTube, I'll have to leave a link to that too, because that's a great one to share when we're talking about this. Yeah, I'll leave some links in some of this stuff, definitely. Just
very nice.
Oh, yes. Avad, thank you. I've lost my mind today.
Well, yeah, on the Mythic spoiler, they have all the implications listed.
Yeah, so it's cool. I mean, definitely. Well, I don't want to talk spoilers yet. That's the thing is, you're diving into spoilers, and I did not want to do spoilers. We can
okay, well, I didn't know. Sorry.
I said that.
You said there was stuff you didn't want to talk about. You didn't say what it was.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, we got caught up in trying to get that video in the beginning to work, or I did.
Yes.
But no,
so I am sorry.
It's okay. Spoilers we'll talk more about next week because they just started spoiler season a little early, and I do want to dive into that more. Okay. But yeah, I mean they look cool. They have a very strange design. I mean, the art's always great on any of these kind of things. That's the truth about it. Is they have really awesome art. They got worship.
And they do have more full art lands in this one.
Full art lands are always a big plus. They're always a favorite. And crocodile dragons.
Because we need more crossover species.
They're not actual crocodiles. They look crocodilian.
Oh, okay.
Well, apparently, like, because it's supposed to be, like, Nicol Bolas is supposed to rule over this place, one of the people that was working on the design was like, I saw this. They were like, I was going to leave if they didn't put dragons in. And so the only way that they could excuse for it is make it look kind of Egyptian a little bit. Crocodilian. So they feel like it fits with the flavor. And it kind of does, actually, if you look at some of the pictures of the dragons they have.
Yeah. Because you didn't have dragons in Egypt, or in Egyptian mythology, so...
No. So they figured out a way to sort of, make it work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, I'm looking at Glorybringer, and it does have kind of a crocodilian feel.
Yes. So it's very interesting that they've managed to, like, throw it together like that. And they have been showing off, again, a bunch of cards, so you can check them out if you really want to take a look. Prowling Popard is the cat snake. It looks kind of weird, but I like cat snake, so I'm down for cat snake.
I think you're a cat snake.
Now, the only thing is, cast a spell probably from your graveyard, then exile it. Yeah, Dusk and Dawn. That's a weird spell. We'll talk about that next week. I'm diving into it because I'm getting drawn into it.
See, you're going more into spoilers than I did.
Gosh darn it. You're dragging me in.
No, the crocodile's dragging you in.
Cat Snake is driving me in. Cat Snake rules. Cat Snake who can't be countered, and creatures you control can't be countered. Cat Snake rules. That's what I said. There was a whole discussion on Cat Snake, and I was sharing it with people. So, I mean, Cat Snake rules. You cannot deny the power of Cat Snake.
Meow, meow. Meow, meow.
Yeah, no, Cat Snake's awesome. I will see if I can link a picture of, say, someone drew of Cat Snake, which was awesome. But,
it was a cat.
What?
I was doing Trogdor for Cat Snake.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
Cat Snake was a cat, or maybe it was a snake.
Or it was really just a cat snake, but it was still Trogdor. I mean, Cat Snake. Cat Snake.
Cat snaking the village. Cat snaking the countryside.
Yeah. Okay. We've gone weird with Cat Snake.
Yes, we have.
But again,
you're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, Where are you, picture of Cat Snake I can find and share?
Well, did we want to do any more on Amonkhet?
Up to you what we want to do a little bit of.
Well, other than going into spoilers, I don't think there's much more to say, other than the artwork looks great like the last set.
No, I agree. The art looks really great, and there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on with it. And we should definitely anticipate. I think when we get to the spoilers, it'll definitely be really cool to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the invocations, I know they're hard to read, but what they are, you can read their abilities easy. But the whole look of the card looks awesome, and it's really appropriate for the set.
That's true. I will agree that that's definitely true. That is pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, with the last set that came out, they're really stepping up their artwork game.
That's true. No, yeah, they've done a good job of stepping up artwork. And it does have a very good Egyptian feel, too. I mean, that's obvious. That they've managed to capture that very well. They've done a good job at making it feel okay.
You finally found your cat snake?
Yes. I don't know how to properly link this, other than to
put the link in the chat.
Oh wait, here. This person did art of cat snake, which rules. Okay, there we go.
Cat snake rule.
Cat snake rules.
Oh God.
Cat snake rules. Sorry, I had to share cat snake.
Oh, that is ridiculous.
I love cat snake. No, it gets worse. It gets, or should I say, better? Yes, it's definitely worth the wait. And there's another one which I have to share, which is even more worth the wait. And you'll all thank me for this.
But I have a question: who will win, cat snake or cat monkey?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I think cat monkey, because it has opposable thumbs. Then.
And that one. You can see that one too. Everybody enjoy.
Oh God.
Sir Popard.
Makes me think of Chad.
Sir Popard is the greatest cat snake there is.
Pardon me, but do you have any Grey Poupon?
Oh, cat snake could eat a cat monkey whole. Thanks, Kaladesh, for cat monkey. Yep. All right, but let's move on because we're gonna talk about
cat snakes and cat monkeys.
Yeah. What was it? Frog lizards was from Return to Ravnica though, so I mean, they're like animal slot machine. Clunk, 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 clunk. What do we get?
Who will win? You decide.
All right, let's move on to Dungeons and Dragons though. Now that we've, I don't know, descended into madness even more than we already were.
Hey, we got our weekly animal jokes in. So
we did. Cat snake got it in for us.
We didn't have any last week, so we had to make up.
Yes. I also got. I couldn't find it, but the Popard one. There was someone did do you have any Grey Popard? And it's like
yeah, it was actually underneath that one. The same the link you sent had it in there too. If you scroll.
Oh, awesome. Down. Cool. Yep, there we go. Pardon me, do you have any Grey Popard? I like Popard. Cat snake rules.
Yes.
Alright, but yes, unearthed arcana. So they did a trio of subclasses, basically what they've been doing, and they did a single one for each of 3 different classes. And, I mean, they all seem interesting. Some of them are a little bit more throwbacks. But let's start talking about them a little bit because I do want to discuss it. Of course, Drunken Master for the Monk. That's kind of cool. We've
yeah, it has some really interesting abilities.
Oh yeah, and the fact is, Drunken Master was something that we had in the past. I think I don't remember the game, but we had a game.
We had someone who played one. I know
we had someone that played one in 3rd edition, so it's cool to see that return back. But apparently you have to get drunk for everything. Yes.
Which makes sense. Like,
Yes.
if you're a drunken master, you should be drinking.
I mean, I guess they don't technically need to drink.
I would have
Okay.
a house rule that you do.
Okay, so Elrond has said that thousands of homebrew people thousands of homebrew versions of this exist. So, okay, okay, and you only appear drunk. But I guess this is something that people have wanted, because I guess it's like everybody well. At least I remember the Jackie Chan movie where he was a drunken master.
Well, it was called Drunken Master.
I know, it's like you remember that, and that's like the most awesome version of Drunken Master I can remember right now. But I'm sure there's other old kung fu movies where they do it. And the fact is, it's sort of like one of those things that keeps in your mind that you appear drunk, and I'm sure that you could actually be drunk if you really wanted to. Cough, cough, cough. I mean, it really fits to actually be drinking with it, but whatever. I guess you don't really need to technically.
House rule, you do.
Okay, I still have to catch up on Iron Fist. So that's on a side note. I've watched one episode. So, but no, I like the idea of it because it is kind of cool. You get some luck here that you can spend a key point to get advantage on saves. You can use a reaction to basically hit someone that misses you.
Yep.
Oh, hit another creature.
Sway.
Basically, it sends it to hit someone else. You're you redirect things.
Well, yeah, because that's the tipsy sway. It's like you kind of dodge out of the way. It's like whoop, you hit the guy behind me. Haha. Drunkard's luck, intoxicated frenzy, where you can do a huge flurry of blow attacks against a large group.
Well, no, it's single. Different creatures. Yeah, so you get up to 5. You get 5 attacks against an entire group of creatures. So I mean, that's uses for that. Leap into a bunch of people and just beat the crud out of them. Definitely feels very Jackie Chan Drunken Master, from I'm remembering that movie at all.
Yes.
In those movies, he's always fighting like a billion people. Hype for Jackie Chan and his kung fu movies or whatever. I don't know.
Well, everybody loves kung fu fighting.
Dude. I'm not going to do it because I was going to do it. It's almost as bad as when I did the electric slide. I dove into that when we talked about something being electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie beat.
Yes, I know. I did it. I did that. I dove into it one time just because, I had the opening for it. All right. So, yeah, Drunken Master, definitely check that out. It's cool. I think they did a pretty good job on making something like that. Let's talk about Paladin a little bit.
Oh my God, Arbor of Peace and I'm sorry. I'm looking over the Oath of Redemption, and Armor of Peace is ridiculous.
When you aren't wearing a shield or armor, your base AC is 16 plus Dex modifier. They're Dex. They are definitely a Dex-based Paladin, I would say. With that ability alone, I would call them a Dex-based Paladin. I would dive right into it with that.
Yeah, but I mean, just base AC of 16 plus Dex modifier is insane.
Yes and no. You have to consider if we compare it to a Paladin that could use normally armor and shield anyway, they might have that AC like that. So they're going to be on the same level without the armor. True.
But it's just for a base AC, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. You can basically it seems easier to save to not kill something because you get the Warrior of Reconciliation.
Yep.
That you can easily drop things to 0 and not kill them.
Channel Divinity, you get Emissary of... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Bonuses to Persuasion. Yeah.
Yeah, Emissary of Peace and Rebuke the Violent.
Yep. Man. And... Protective Spirit's pretty cool, that you can regain 1d6 plus half your Paladin level until end of level in your end of your turn in combat with fewer than half hit points remaining. You aren't incapacitated.
Nice.
Yeah, so you gain hit points. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Ori of the Guardian, I mean, it's your basic, I shield you from a hit.
Yep. And of course, the Emissary of Redemption Oh yeah, similar to Tranquility Monk. Yeah, I think we looked over that the other. Did we get over that the week? I think we did.
Yeah, it was a while ago, little while ago.
Yeah, yeah. But like, you Avatar of Peace, you have resistance to all damage dealt by other creatures. Whenever a creature damages you, you deal equal to half the amount. It deal damage back to it, basically.
Oh my god, that's
It's powerful.
Yeah,
I think
but
it is.
I mean, it's a level 20 ability, so
That's true, and I can't remember the level 20 abilities for the other paladins. I know they're very powerful too. So I think they are on par with this one from my memory, without having to basically say like, oh yes, that's what it is, you know.
Oh, but the downside is if you attack a creature, deal damage to it, or force it to make a saving throw, neither benefit works again against that creature until you finish a long rest.
Yes.
So it's just like, I'm not going to fight you, but you can try to beat me up.
Yeah.
And I'll still hurt you.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's I can basically like, and you effectively, like, you can choose certain ones that you're sort of like redeeming and not redeeming, I guess, at that point in time.
Yeah.
Weapons of last resort, you know, so I get the feeling this one would be, what, maybe neutral good? Alignment's
Probably.
better for it?
I'd say probably neutral good would make sense.
Yeah. Because I feel like every oath does have it generally its own alignments. I was going to say alliances there for a second.
No, alignments.
English! Terrible at it.
English? Why do you want to speak English?
Reasons. No, I think it's a pretty cool one. It would be an interesting one to play. I think it's a challenging one to play, and I definitely think there are certain games it wouldn't work in, like Dungeon Crawl, meh. You know, maybe like a political intrigue one, definitely. There's a couple other ones that I feel like it would work very well in.
It'd be interesting in Curse of Strahd.
That's very true. Oh, wow. It'd be difficult to play, but it would be...
But it would be interesting because then maybe your character isn't trying to necessarily overthrow Curse or throw Strahd, but trying to redeem him.
Ooh. That's a tough one. But that would be an interesting way to play it, and with that one, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how well it would work, but it would be an interesting storyline.
And I agree that it would not work in a murder hobo party at all.
No.
Nope. That'd be terrible.
Stop murdering those hobos.
Yes. I'm just going to say that. Yes.
Especially with thermite grenades.
That's an entirely different story.
I know, but I had to say it.
Guess it had to be said. No, it didn't have to be said. So scoff on you, Joe. Scoff on you.
I scoff back at you.
Whatever. Anyway, but
Ranger.
Yeah. Ranger. The Monster Slayer. They seek out vampires, dragons, evil fiends. Specifically vampires, I like they notice. Not just undead. They're like vampires, dragons, evil fae, fiends.
You're a zombie, I don't care. You're a vampire, I'm going to kick your ass.
Protection from evil and good is always a classic one, but like they get planar binding, banishment, interesting ones as they go up there.
Zone of Truth. Tell me the truth, Strahd. What is your plan?
Definitely, I do agree it's the least interesting of the three, because it just seems sort of standard fare almost a little bit for something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Of the three, it has like, it's like, oh yeah, Ranger, Monster Hunter. Yeah, I can see that fairly easily, you know. It doesn't have the same...
it makes sense, but, I mean, it's not bad, though. I mean, it has some
interesting like, you can learn all the vulnerables, immunities, and resistances of a creature, which can help, because you can be like, you can go to your friends and be like, hey, you know, sorcerer, it's resistant to fire. And then you know about it.
It doesn't get a lot of abilities, though, compared to some of them.
Well, they do mention, like, you get the extra attack if you're using the unearthed arcana ranger, so at least they account for that, which is nice.
Yeah. Slayer's counter.
Whenever you target the Slayer's Eye focus, you make a saving throw, you add a d6 to the roll. So, like, when you, like, would focus as a bonus action on a creature to, like, learn all its abilities, The first time you hit it, you get extra d6 of damage for one thing.
Yeah, so the only one thing is it doesn't get a lot of stuff, but it gets its max ability at 15th level.
Yeah, which I think Rangers tend to get that. I think Rangers, the base class, tend to get most of their abilities in the base class, is the thing about it. But they seem to focus on one creature and be good at killing one creature. Because, like, first attack, you do an extra d6 of damage. 7th level, you get a d6 on saving throws against it. You know, things like that. Like, Relentless Slayer, if it attempts to do a lot of different interesting things, like teleport, change shape, and such, you can basically sort of force it to fail, which is interesting. Like a contested wisdom check, and you're like, no, no teleporting away for you.
You can't turn the gas.
Yeah. No shape changing for you. You stay in wolf form, werewolf. Bad puppy.
You ever rolled up newspaper handy?
Yeah, I know, really.
How'd you defeat that werewolf? I bonked him on the nose really hard.
And 15th level, you get the ability to counterattack, basically. For the target, when it forces you to make a saving throw, use your action to make one weapon attack against it.
Yeah.
Yep. And if the attack hits,
you
automatic succeeds.
In addition to the attack's normal effect.
So basically, you're like, oh, you're making me make a saving throw? No,
bad.
It is rolled up newspaper. Oh my god, it's rolled up newspaper.
That's what you have to fight with in your offhand.
Yeah, it's like, Bad red dragon, breath weaponing me. Naughty. I mean, the abilities seem cool. It definitely, like, focusing one creature rather than, like, more like having favorite enemies is definitely a very cool ability. And it gets some interesting versions of it. But,
the Ranger is just a tired old man who wants to go home.
Yes.
I'm done with this.
Stop
messing around.
Get off my lawn. You damn dragons, you dang breath weapons on my lawn. Get off of it. Oh. No, I do agree. It's interesting abilities, just doesn't have the same flavor as the rest of them. Like, the other two have ridiculous amounts of flavor in comparison to it. And I feel like...
Yeah, but as I see it, though, too, it's building on top of what the Ranger already gets.
That's true. It is, because it's like focusing a single target, as I was saying, like, rather than the favorite enemy. You know,
right.
It's
but it kind of can stack with the favorite enemy.
Well, I don't think you'd get it I don't think you get it then, because I guess you get the favorite enemy with it. I have to remember the Ranger. I conveniently have a player's handbook right here because we did D&D streams.
Mine's in my car.
We stream. I can figure this out because I can't remember for the life of me. I
could totally go on. Where is it? The D&D web app.
The thing is, they don't normally have archetypes as much. Oh, there's the Ranger archetype, which they get Primal Awareness. Oh, Hunter or Beastmaster. Okay, Hunter's the one that I think gets...
Hunter.
The thing that's version of favorite enemy. I think whatever our friend James is playing in Curse of Strahd, because he's playing the alternate Ranger, actually gets favorite enemy.
Okay. Yeah, he does have favorite enemy.
Which I think is the alternate version of Ranger. They have, like, the Hunter basically gets the version. They get something. Because I think, like, there's the Beastmaster's the other one, which gets, like, a animal companion instead. So, choices. Yeah. Choices!
Who wants choices?
Oh, apparently we do, because we like these unearthed arcana a lot. Yes. And it'd be awesome to play.
Well, just dipping off the side for a second, because we said we might want to discuss a little bit. We did the one shot last week on Sunday, and I tried out the Stone Sorcerer origin.
Yes.
Which was very interesting. We got to double check if I did everything correct, though.
Always true, hard to tell.
I had a 19 AC with Stone Sorcerer, which should have been a 16. We have to double check one ruling on when you get your base AC. They have a base AC ability that it moves it up to a base of 13 plus your con. I have to see if it actually gets its dex bonus still or not. If it doesn't, then it should have been a 16 AC.
I still think you don't, but Stone Sorcerer 5e. But this was like just something that, you know, hard to remember. Stone Sorcerer. Yeah, you wouldn't get dex. It's being said.
Oh, is it? I must have overlooked that then. I do apologize that for last week then.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like it doesn't say it directly in there because of the way
so
they...
it doesn't say it directly in there. Okay, I didn't think it did, and that's why
And I think that was the trick of it, which I wasn't thinking about myself. Oh, yeah, and it's like normally, like, if you look up monk itself in the book, it tells you, like, I think when they do their unarmored thing, they only get one of the stats to it. And I think that was the assumption. It's going to work the same way.
Well, even if it would have been that, it would have been a 16, but that's still awesome as a sorcerer.
Okay. So monk does get both of them, but they start at an AC of equal to 10 plus both of them. They don't get a bonus.
Okay.
I think one of the unearthed arcana one has it, which okay. Yeah, the unearthed arcana skips details, which I guess is one of those problems about it, but yeah, any of them that seem to have like a base AC of something plus a stat, I feel like are only that stat then, you know, that they've sort of replacing it.
Okay.
Balancing...
Well, if we do another one shot with that, I might change things around a little bit, but we'll see.
Again, the next, like, the schedule of one shots is up. It's a little up in the air. I kind of am working on getting one scheduled soon, but we'll talk about that at the end of the...
Yeah. But I just want, since we were talking about Earth Arcana, I wanted to you just mention you know, we did an experiment with that one.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're basically a magical fighter.
Yeah.
I took a lot of, I took spells to focus on, buffing myself and be able to hit really well. And I focused on being a dex-based fighter.
Yep. Because it definitely has some interesting abilities that work a little bit well to jumping into combat a little bit more. Definitely, because you're going to have extra hit points, extra AC.
Yeah, and also the spells you could get instead of just your normal wizards or sorcerer spells. Like I was using Thunderous Smite, which is pretty darn good at first level.
Yeah, it's punch wizard. Well, punch sorcerer, I guess. All right. Yes. Definitely is. Definitely has that feeling though to it that it's because like the spell list that they show is like it's like magic weapon at second level. So yeah, of course you're ready to go weapon first into this. Definitely.
Oh yeah, well you get at first level you can pick either Searing Smite, Thunderous Smite, Wrathful Smite, which are all really good, and Compelled Duel.
Yep.
So you are a
well
fighter.
Actually. Technically, all those spells are in your spell list, and you can just choose from them.
Well, you're a sorcerer, though, so you actually... Yeah, you have to... Yeah, they're in your spell list, so you can choose to take one of them, which I did.
Well, you can choose to take all of them.
Yeah.
Well, as many as you know.
Not at first level.
As many as you know.
You know, yes. I could have... Yes, I could have took two of them, but I decided to keep one from the sorcerer and one from this list, so I took Thunderous Smite, which was really nice. Although it does kind of let your enemies know you're coming.
Yeah, I was able to check out Daelric's stream, which he was doing mystics on it. That was another person who's hoping to one point be a guest on this show. Promotion. Mm-hmm. And also if he's hiding in chat, which sometimes he pops up into, hint, hint, show up when you get a chance to. But he is busy with fatherly duties and stuff, so.
God.
But he had someone that was playing a mystic, and it was interesting from what I was able to see of it. Again, yes, I didn't know what type it was, but it was an interesting experiment with it too. I mean, the unearthed arcanas are great. Yeah, you sneaky.
Well, I can't wait till we get second level in your our normal Sunday game,
Mm-hmm.
Treasures of the Lost Legion, because I'm going to be taking a dip into Artificer.
Yeah, so I will have to discuss how that's going to work a little bit, because we'll have to use the multi-class rules, and you're not going to get as much as normal Artificer, etc., etc. So, right. I mean, we'll test it out for using it for that. It might not work.
Attack with a gun.
Might not work very well. We'll find out. Yeah. But longer, you will notice issues more in those longer games. So if we have to correct something over the course of it, that's going to be the fun of it. Or I guess at least the headache for me. Why don't we move on, though, because it sounds like we've talked about some of the past unearthed arcanas that we've sort of played around with, heard about now. Let's talk about two fantasy games. I want to talk about them a little separately. Yeah, definitely easier to do in 5e to search it. So the first fantasy game I want to talk about is a newer one, and then there's one of them which I think is older. Because I can look at... come on, type into you.
So which one are we doing first?
Symbaroum. Or Symbaroum.
Yep.
Symbaroum? God.
Barum. Yeah, Barum. Barum.
Okay, and the other one is older, but not like super, super old, so we can talk about that. So Symbaroum apparently had a Kickstarter, which it's seemingly, I guess it's going for the Witchhammer Adventure on Kickstarter. So they're kickstarting one of their adventures. Cool. But they put out some more source material with it. Player's Handbook and Adventure Pack 2.
Yeah, 5 playable races, 3 archetypes, divided into 15 occupations as a basis for character creation.
But let's kind of move on and talk about core a little bit. Just because I do want to discuss
Well, this is the core rulebook that I'm looking at.
Oh, okay.
The core rulebook has 5 playable races, 3 archetypes, and 15 occupations.
All right, fine.
35 abilities, 25 mystical powers, 33 rituals.
You see humans, goblins, trolls. It's like darker fantasy, which is cool. Which it starts out as dark, like, because you can play dark fantasy in something of 5th edition, but it's adapting it to it. So
5th edition has Strahd, but I would consider that dark fantasy.
Yeah, but I feel like it's got more horror elements to it. It's supposed to.
Oh, yeah. Well, horror and dark fantasy are close to each other.
That's true, but they do have some differences that I think make Curse of Strahd maybe not quite the same as what this looks like it's aiming for, you know? Just, you know, it looks to be an interesting role-playing game system. Definitely. Again, it's like we talk about a bunch of role-playing game systems that we're like, this would be cool to check out, and, you know, that's why we're promoting it a little bit. It's like, hey, this looks cool to check out. I mean, it's made to be more brutal, they say, you know, so I'm guessing, you know, they tell you total party kills.
No pulling punches.
Mm-hmm. It's made that you're gonna have these the way that it's set up, you know. It'll feel more like back in AD&D, where things can be like very cutthroat if you're not careful. Like 5th edition, yes, you can have deaths, but it's also harder to die in a way. You know, it's yes and no. I mean, I feel like the death saves...
You definitely can have deaths, but because of death saves and stuff like that, it does make it more of a rarer occasion.
Yeah, it makes it a little harder, but not impossible. So, I mean, yeah. Yeah, this is definitely surviving more in a harsh world. And it feels like that from the information. You know, it's like, again, we can only garner so much without getting the book in front of us. Yes. Like Ulrin's own system that he's working on. Wink, wink. Promotion.
I still got to run mine again sometime. Maybe I'll do that as a live stream at some point.
Hey, you know, I've got the channel for it if you want to take over for a working at some point in time. Less work for me. I wouldn't mind being a player, you know.
Yeah.
Guest GM.
It'd be fun to actually try to work out some more of the kinks in my system that still lie there.
Yeah. But no, this seems like a cool. It looks like you need a full dice set, and unfortunately, from the information I can garner here, I'm not sure the exact dice system.
It does say all you need is pen, paper, and a dice set. That's one thing I never really understood with role-play games. We always refer to them as pen and paper. Shouldn't it be pencil and paper? Because who actually writes with pen on their character sheet? You have to
a brave man or woman would write it in pen. This will never change.
I will never be hit. My hit points will never go down.
My AC will never alter.
I'll be level 1 forever.
No, because I was going on like for the dice. There's so many different dice systems it could be.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the problem.
You can do. They do have sample pages on Drive-Thru RPG where you can actually look at the first 18 pages of the book.
Uh-huh.
So I could try to scramble through it and see if they mention anything in with dice.
Yeah, I mean that would probably be very early on if they're going to show something.
They have a map in there of what the land looks like.
Ooh, cool. They might only get through like the little bit of the setting though. Is the only thing for those early parts there. No, the game does look very cool. I mean, as I said, they have a Kickstarter for like a big adventure up. It seems like it's going to be a 152-page book they're planning on. So if you like the dark fantasy and want to check that out, go ahead. We like the idea of the game system. They've hit their goal by a lot. They had like a 5,500 goal. They're at 49,000. So yeah, just a little over their Kickstarter goal. I have no idea what their stretch goals are. Their stretch goals go to... They've unlocked, like... yeah, they've gotten to most of their stretch goals.
Nice.
But there's somewhere I don't know, because I don't know what a sec is for money.
They use... looks like they use the euro, actually, in one of the things I'm looking at. So... maybe somewhere in Europe?
Yes.
It looks like
Swedish krona.
I was just saying Swedish because I'm looking at it says initial pre-order for the physical offset print editions available at Yarn's Workshop.
I wonder if they're using some of the darker fantasy from like the Nordic culture then with it, because they're talking about goblins and trolls in it. Oh, I wonder if they're taking that influence a little bit. That would be wonderful, because you don't see a lot of that, actually. Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool. I'm more interested now for, like, some... Maybe it's influenced by it. I doubt it. It's probably its own thing, I'm guessing. But if we can see some of that, like, darker influence from the old, like, Norwegian, like, Swedish, Scandinavian kind of fantasy. Because they got some really twisted stuff,
Yeah. Well, according to one site, they're saying it is resembles a more classic D&D where there are extended rules for combat. In fact, there's a chapter titled "Players' Rules" almost completely deals with combat rules, dying, and healing.
Okay, interesting. No, I like the idea of this game a lot, and again, it's like there's plenty of role-playing game systems I like to choose, and as much as we were talking about those sci-fi ones a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, checking out some new fantasy ones might not be bad either.
Okay, it does. The dice for it resembles basically D&D dice. You have D20. You do use all the dice.
Okay, but
D20 to hit, and so far and so on.
So it's more likely a D20 system.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just what kind of information I want to know. There's the own system, but it's D20 system, because there's plenty of D20 systems out there. I mean, like, there's always similarities between them, because you can say, like, Pathfinder has similarities to 3rd edition, which has similarities to 5th edition D&D, which has similarities to a few other D20 systems, but still.
Yeah, so, yeah, it is a D20 system. You do need a full dice set, and it kind of harkens back to the harshness of earlier D&Ds.
Cool. And it does seem to have some interesting flavor to it, and definitely cool art.
Yeah.
So I definitely would recommend checking that one out. And if you're really interested, you can always check out their Kickstarter. But let's move on, though, and talk about the other fantasy one that came out. Because, again, this is a fantasy game system which has been out since 2003. And I didn't know about it.
I think I've heard of it, but never really looked into it.
So, from what I've learned, it takes cues from the D20 system. Okay. And, like, it seems to involve, like, 3 rolls, 3 ways of doing it. There's statistic ways, races, skills, talents, fate points, various interesting things here. It feels a little bit more open system from what I've read up on it a little bit here. But it's high adventure role playing, Harp, and they have a new book out, Folkways. It's an original, so it's not like a reprint or anything. So I mean, I guess I'm assuming they've had a bunch of reprints and stuff, maybe more lately than anything. So that's why they're like saying like, hey, we've come out with a new book now. It's like maybe they've had a few in the past while. Like they've got 20 folkways, techniques for creating believable cultures in any setting. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cultural perspective of well-known fantasy worlds from literature, practical examples of cultural creation. So it's all about those are the first big 3 things, I think, which are really great for a game master in this case.
Yeah,
Culture.
One of the things also I'm seeing is really cool, and 5th edition has done this now, which is scalable spellcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Which, your lower level spells scale up. Which we saw, we've now experienced with 5th edition D&D, which really makes sense too. It's like, oh, you're mastering that spell better. You know more things to do with it.
Well, again, like there's always been things for scalable, but like D&D always separated them out. Now it's like for D&D, they're like, if you want to use a higher slot, it does more.
Yeah.
It's basically what it says, which is a simple way of doing scalable. And
well, also
it works
with cantrips, though, is what I'm more thinking.
Oh, yeah, they level up too.
That they actually, they just do, as you progress, they do more damage, which makes sense. It's like, I know how to use this spell in a better way now, I can do more damage with it.
Mm-hmm. But, well, other than the culture things, which I think are great, I mean, 11 new races? Those are always cool. I always love good race like that you can play, especially interesting ones. Like 10 new professions in this one, new skills, talents, new training packages, like a lot of stuff for both. It seems like GMs and players are in this book, which is cool that they put this out. I mean, it's like, again, is this a system that when you talk about maybe hearing about it, it's sort of like, I'm like, maybe I saw this somewhere, but it's sort of like I passed it off. Because the fact is, like, I've passed off a lot of game systems over the years, just in passing, because, like, you don't have a lot of extra money for books and stuff, and it doesn't maybe grab you right away. Would grab you quick enough. Or
you're just so used to the system you've been playing forever, it's just like, it's easy to just make, oh, there's a new system for, they put out a new edition for this. I'm going to keep spending money on this because I already know it.
And truth is, I haven't had a huge amount of money since 2003 that I could really throw into stuff like this. And I threw into other stuff when I did have money. So...
Right, like I said, new editions of, like, D&D or when Pathfinder came out.
New Magic cards.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, Harp seems like a very cool system that, again, we haven't had experience with, and they just have this cool book out right now, so it's like, well, that's awesome. That they've got this Folkways book.
Maybe it's something I might invest in the near future.
Again, like, maybe, like, putting together for, like, a show that I could have is, like, testing out other role-playing game systems, like having, like, maybe, like, 2 or 3 weeks of testing out a role-playing game system, and then, moving on. Maybe I could put something together like that in the future. Don't know.
Definitely would be interesting to showcase other things.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good ones. Hey, actually, that's something that would I could update my Patreon with. Linking to something I rarely mention except briefly at the end of my videos. I technically have a Patreon. I haven't updated it very well in like forever. I've like update my goals and stuff. And maybe that one would be a good one for like if I get so much money I could start getting things for like live streams, and then whoever like people could be pooled in or for something. I don't know. I could come up with something cool.
People who donate can get a spot into play.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was thinking I was trying to do stuff with that anyway, but maybe I could organize it better than I was already doing that. Yeah. But no, like getting like a core book of like all these different role-playing game systems definitely needs funds that I don't have right now. Hey, my channel's growing pretty well, and I'm technically earning money, but it's not a lot. I'm still like a third of the way to the first paycheck that YouTube will send me.
That's still progress.
It's progress. Yes, thank you. Ornaments will be free, so that's why maybe that I can just get easy.
Mine would be free.
I think I have a few ones that I got through like Kickstarter and stuff. So I do have other interesting game systems that I've gotten before that I haven't tested out. Like there was one that was like very kind of both like Asian, like it's Asian flavored, but also a little bit of anime flavored. I got everything I wanted for it. Like I got for it from the Kickstarter. I just never played it. So maybe it's an excuse.
And there's other ones like, oh god, my brain is dying right now. There's other.
Wasn't Five Rings? It was an original one. It was like was it Wa? I feel like it was Wa.
Okay. There's also other D&D ones and other ones that we have access to, either that you have or we have friends that have.
I haven't seen the Five Rings character creation, Oren, so... It was Wa, the anime and manga RPG Kickstarter.
Wa?
Yeah. It was interesting, because it felt like it was like... I guess... it felt like it more focused on a time period, It felt like more like... if any of you are familiar with it, like, Warring States, so like, Samurai Warriors, or Inuyasha or something. So, oh yeah, and I could do stuff where we do like things where we test out unearthed arcana and stuff. That'd also be cool. Well, I figure like if I can convince people when I start getting one shots regularly, maybe to test some of those out, that might be a great way of doing it.
Yeah, we could even do like how I want to run thing in my game. We could start it with a one shot, see if people are interested. If they are, maybe make it a weekly thing at some point.
Yeah. Definitely. So, I mean, like, definitely I would love to try this system out. Getting back to Harp and some of the other systems. But, yeah, it's another fantasy system that I really didn't know a lot about, if anything, and it's cool to learn about it. And definitely, there's been a lot of cool RPG systems that might be fun to try out and show everybody. So, why don't we move on to the last topic for today? Watson and Holmes. It's now available. It's another Sherlock Holmes card game. Let's see here.
I think it's... Oh, God.
4 or 3 was it that were Sherlock Holmes? There have been 4 mystery games out in like the past month. 4. There was
Perlock
Holmes. There was another Sherlock Holmes that it was an expansion for Jack the Ripper, and then there was another mystery game that was based upon that had an expansion for Jack the Ripper. So there's been a bunch of
Sherlock Holmes thing.
Yeah, so there's been like 2 new Sherlock Holmes games, an expansion to a Sherlock Holmes game, and the expansion was based on Jack the Ripper, and then a Jack the Ripper expansion to another mystery one that's set in the same time period as Sherlock Holmes, but not Sherlock Holmes directly. So like Whitechapel era,
I think it's interesting. You think these kind of things would have came out like when the movies were really popular.
And like we were talking about it the other day, like all the Sherlock Holmes stuff that's coming out now is modern day. There's like the one with Benedict Cumberbatch, and then there's the CBS show. Those are modern day versions of it though, that are based around Sherlock. There's no like, why is it all out right now is my entire thing.
Yeah, and like I said, you would have thought that when the movies were popular, when they were coming out,
That was years ago,
you
though.
might right. But I'm saying you thought that is when all these Sherlock stuff would have popped up, not.
Does House count as Sherlock? I guess it's a Sherlock Holmes-like show. I guess it. Okay, I can see that a little bit in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's medical Sherlock, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, Sherlock was crazy popular on the BBC. Uh-huh. But do we need so many? Do we need like next to 1 billion in the same month?
It's weird that they're all clustered together, and it's not like at a time where there's a big Sherlock thing going on in culture.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm like confused. Okay, so there's like some video games that are coming out. There's like this weird it's like I don't mind Sherlock Holmes. I'm not complaining about it, and there's some great stuff. I like I can't watch a lot of it, but I even like what's his name? The one that used to do Sherlock Holmes back in the 60s and stuff. Rathburn? Hazel Rathburn? Hazel Rathbone. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Hazel
Thank
Rathbone.
you, Tom.
Thank you, background people. Mm-hmm. I liked even some of Hazel Rathbone's stuff. It's like because it's old. Whatever. Rathbone.
Well, I mean, and honestly, I love the Next Gen episodes when they did like Sherlock stuff as well.
Yes. So I think like Sherlock Holmes always has like a place in a lot of people's hearts because it's always something cool to see and some great stuff.
There's something about a good mystery.
But do I need 3 different board games based on it that... Well, okay, again, one of them is they're putting out an expansion for it. But...
And one of them is Sherlock Holmes.
It's still...
Don't forget that.
I will defend it. It's with the Great Mouse Detective. They're right next to each other.
I know, but I'm just saying, one of them's a little silly.
One of them is based on Sherlock Holmes the cat. Oh, which we had a really great discussion about. Sherlock Holmes the cat. Oh.
What was it, Professor...
Professor Moriarty or something?
It wasn't Moriarty, it was like something... Cat pun, I forget.
I don't know. It was definitely cat pun.
It was nothing but cat puns.
It was nothing but cat puns. It really was. It's like
I think it should have broke the internet.
How many cat puns can we fit into like one game board? That's what we have. Yeah, it's Furiarty. Sherlock Holmes Furiarty's Trail is what it was called. Was the full name. Because Furiarty was terrorizing London.
But it wasn't Professor, it was just Professor.
Yes.
But I think it should have been Professor.
Yes, it should have been Professor. Okay, let's stop before we dive deeper into Sherlock Holmes again.
Maybe he can try to find some cat monkeys and cat snakes.
Oh my god, we're going back to the animals again. We can never escape animal discussions of some kind. You brought it up purposefully last week. At least this time it came into it naturally. But Watson and Holmes looks like a cool little game. It looks like you take different roles of different characters. I'm guessing someone's like Sherlock and one's like Watson, and you're solving mysteries. And it looks like much more card gamey than some of the other ones. I feel like that's the thing is like Sherlock Holmes feels like more like a board game. I expect to see a one shot of this. Pathfinder one shot. We're doing the manimals or anthropomorphic animals or whatever it is. Yes, the awakened animals. Where it's all cats all the time.
Well, Poirier would be up for that.
Oh my god! Please let's not bring him in.
Moonimals.
Saluni sends out her Moonimals.
Moonimal army attack.
But yes, back to I don't know. Watson and Holmes. it looks like a cool game. It looks fun. It's got like 13 cases, so I'm guessing you would play maybe each case separately from the sounds of it, and you could try them out, and then maybe they'd have expansions for more cases. And cool. I mean, that feels more limiting that maybe you can only have 13 play times through it. 2 to 7 players. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's the same way, like, if you're a good role player that can not metagame, then I feel like maybe you could
replay some of them.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing is, it depends on how they build it. Like, the one game I have something of Anador.
Oh, yeah, Heroes of Anador.
That one...
Ardor.
Yeah, Ardor. Sorry, yeah. That one, you are playing through the adventures, but each time they can be... things are set up differently. So, just because you beat it the one time through a certain way doesn't mean you can't play it again and have a different experience.
Yes.
If they do something like that, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like the adventure, this case took it takes slightly different forms a slightly different way than it did before.
Yeah. And that's one of those things, is like when you have some of the variations like that, it can help a lot. Definitely. So.
And maybe also with the different, if you have different player characters other than just Sherlock and Moriarty, or not Moriarty, Sherlock and Dr. Watson, it may be different plays too. When if you're playing a different role, you might discover things differently and it could change things. So we'd have to see how how it actually plays.
That's true. That it might, and more players might change things up, because definitely that can make a big difference. It's like with Betrayal at House on the Hill. Granted, they got with the expansion, they got 100 different adventures you can go on, but still, if you play the same one twice, different number of players, different board, entirely, it varies. So you can play the same scenario and it would be completely different.
Yeah. That always makes it more bang for your buck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, well, we played it the X amount of times, we've done every scenario every way.
Oh, Ulrich, you're a person after my heart. I love Betrayal at the House on the Hill. I just don't get to play it. Joe doesn't like it that much. He doesn't have as much, because he keeps being the bad guy. Random chance keeps having him be the bad guy.
I don't mind being the bad guy in some situations, but not all the time.
I know. Like saying random chance keeps hitting you with it.
Yes.
For some reason,
Maybe I'm secretly evil.
What would be cool to do is somehow set up a stream where each player has it set up, and one person's the primary, and each maybe 1 or 2 people will be at each location, and then other people could put in the stuff, build the board off of it. That'd be interesting.
The only hard part would be with the card drawing, though.
The one player could have all the cards out, and the other player shuffles them and then draws them to reveal what they are randomly. Oh, Tabletop Sim. Oh, do they have Betrayal House on the Hill? I don't know. If they do, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I haven't checked out Tabletop Sim in a while. That'd be some good ones. Yeah, but my idea is not bad, just interestingly creative. But it's a mod for Betrayal. Okay, but yeah, my idea of one person's doing all the card drawing and the randomized stuff, and the other side would just sort of assemble the board and give out cards as sort of is assigned by the other one. It's gonna and then you can have dice rolls on either side. Of course, it's gonna have maybe 4 camera angles at least, just because it's gonna be I guess one side will have the board in front of them, the side that's recording it, and then maybe cameras on each of the players or something. I don't know. Somehow, or on an area of the players. Yeah. So. No, I've heard of Tabletop Sim, but I haven't played around with it. But, my insane idea. Anyway, why don't we finish up and move on to some stories from the table? I wanted to talk about this week because I don't think we've necessarily talked about it, but there's some interesting stories we can tell up till now in my Curse of Strahd game. Because we've had fun, and I've like tweeted some things out that people have really enjoyed, and maybe we can tell part of the story, not the entire story.
Oh, there's been so many bad things at the temple.
But that's much later in the story. Maybe we
Yes,
won't
I
do the
know.
temple because that's kind of getting. So why don't I can tell it if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Okay.
I can jump in.
Yeah, you can remind me if I'm forgetting something. So I'm running Curse of Strahd, and important note first, major mistake when it comes to running Curse of Strahd. I didn't realize you technically should be at 3rd level.
Yeah, dire
Whoops.
werewolves at 1st level. Yeah.
They were just dire wolves.
I'm sorry, dire wolves at 1st level.
And vampire spawns. Oh my.
One.
Just one.
There's one.
It was just one. But apparently, you're supposed to either play off this like small side mission to level you up 2, or start at 3. I didn't realize that. I started them at 1, not realizing. So we have them like encounter dire wolves, and it's like, well, this seems mean. And then there's the vampire spawn, which the one character dies to. Was that James' first character, his monk?
Yeah, he died twice, yes.
Yep. So now he's a cleric. Well, then he was a cleric.
Yes.
Because then I had to go to the Death House. And the Death House is an interesting little side adventure. It's not a bad one, but it's not great either. You know, that's the best way I've described it. Not bad, but not great either. Which they get through that part of the adventure. I'm going to try to avoid a lot of the storyline and go to the really interesting stuff.
Sack of 15 candles.
Yes, they found a sack of 15 candles in there. It's one of the only things that they were able to bring out of there. And it's... You guys are
And
like...
20 torches.
And 20 torches. You guys are like pack rats of the weirdest crap.
Hey, I was able to use those torches later on to help us survive.
That's true.
And the candles have come in useful at times.
Uh-huh. Or there's always James, and every one of his characters has a candelabra for some reason. Candelabra. And if he could, capybaras. But that's Pathfinder.
God, capybaras.
Because they have a price. Thank you, Pathfinder.
No one needs 15 capybaras.
They're the size of a medium dog, at least.
He was the Pied Piper.
They're huge.
He keeps infesting towns with capybaras.
That's like the start of a game. He's like, I'm gonna have 50, and it's like for the longest time, I was not realizing how huge capybaras are. And I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my god, capybaras are huge. I thought they were large, but it's like when you see one, and it's like the size of like a medium dog, and you're like, oh.
Well, yeah, think
Wow.
of the tick.
Yeah. Speak in the Tick is small for a capybara, actually, I would say.
Right, but he was the size of like a small dog.
Yeah, but they're normally like medium dogs.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying.
Yes. Oh my god. Anyway, getting sidetracked with capybara.
Yes.
Capybaras.
Back after the Death House.
Yes, back after the Death House. So they resume their story. They of course they get Irina, which is like the main storyline that most people get into, which is escorting this woman across the area. Along the way, of course, their rogue has a vision of being hung, and then they get to a windmill where they fight 2 hags. Managed to
And
kill.
then Baba Hag.
Well, they
which
managed.
we met earlier.
Yeah, they met earlier, and kind of harassed her without knowing anything. But again, then she was trying to kidnap children. But that's besides.
She had sacks of children. That's not harassment. I'm sorry, if you have sacks of children in a cart
She
while you're
legally
selling
traded
pastries,
those. She legally traded those pastries
pastries.
for children from the parents.
I'm sorry, that's kind of a horrific thing. I think most people would step in and be like, what are you doing?
It's Ravenloft. It's normal.
We were just entered into Ravenloft, and it's like one of the first things we see is a woman trading children for pastries.
I know, it's wonderful. It was terrible, but wonderful also. Oh, God. Yep. So, and the Ghostly Parade was a good one, too.
Yes.
And burying the people's father. Irina and, I can't remember his names right now, the brothers. Ismark?
Ismark.
Hey. Bam! Remember the name. Yes. Burying their father and then getting harassed by, like, wolves.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, so they fought the hags, killed the one, drove the other one off.
Ended up, unfortunately, losing one of the children.
Oh, well, that was in a second, because then Mama Hag showed up, and they both set fire to the windmill that you guys were in.
Yes.
Yep. And they also took in a bunch of the children that they had still alive with them, and basically were holding them hostage, and one of the hostages ended up getting killed. Bum, bum, bum. The poor boy. Anyway, then you managed to defeat the two at the backdrop of a burning windmill. Pretty awesome. Met a were-raven chick, who was fun.
And naked.
Yes.
Who I gave my cloak to.
Yep, and he befriended the were-ravens. Sort of. Anyway, you folks then moved on to Vallaki, where your first round of adventures in Vallaki happened. Vallaki was fun. Vallaki, you ended up running afoul of the captain of the guards, which was Irina's apparent brother, with demon arm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You made friends with the local barkeep who was helping you out. And let's see, Irina ends up getting captured. Megan's character, the rogue who saw the vision, gets captured. The rest of you try to negotiate with the Burger Master. Master Burger.
Burger Master, Master Burger.
Yes. And what's that? Santa Claus, the little claymation or doll thing, you know, I'm thinking of? Probably. Classic. I'm so many references today. So many random ones. She gets hung, becomes a ghost.
It ends up in a
altar boy.
Child's
possessing an altar boy.
So she gets to be a prepubescent male.
Yeah, for a little while they do a task for the priest, recovering these bones, which they have to basically deal with some vampire spawns to get. Manage to do it, get the rogue resurrected, and decide to leave that town.
Wait. You're missing the best part. Who did we get to meet?
Oh.
The toy maker.
Oh, yeah.
Belinsky.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
If it's not Belinsky...
It's no Blinsky, it's no fun.
Blinsky, it's no fun. Where I bought the Strahd puppet.
And a little toy gallows.
And a little toy gallows to taunt our rogue with.
Yes. Which I made it like the marionette puppet, you know? I was like, it's marionette puppet. I feel like that's appropriate.
I still want it to be a hand puppet.
Yeah, you
I want
a
to taunt Strahd with it.
Marionette works a little bit.
Yeah, but it's not as fun to be like, haha.
Apparently, Blinsky makes toy gallows. Yes. Blinsky makes a lot of weird stuff.
Because it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and didn't you also make a deal to make another Irina doll with Blinsky if you made dolls of you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
To give to the giant-armed dude to satisfy her. To satisfy him, sorry.
So he's less crazy with his sister being taken away again?
Yes.
Half a sister. You made your way to Kresik, I think it is?
Yes.
Where you made a deal. Irina was staying there. You headed to the Wizards of Wine Winery, where you fought some druids. You met a family of were-ravens, which apparently run the winery. Yep.
And a bunch of, what were
Twig Blights.
Twig Blights.
Oh, yeah.
Which I totally took out in an awesome way.
Yes, you did.
Channeling a fire spell into the staff that controlled them.
Yep. Basically, you kind of made them explode. And the staff a little bit, too. But that's beside the point. Womp, womp, womp. Ended up going to a hill to stop the druids from doing something horrible. Your rogue
got an awesome spear.
Yeah, she basically, met a ghost of some kind of horrible barbarian leader who, savage people, and was like, hey, I sense bloodlust on you. Take this spear. It will help you on your way. And she's like, okay, murder. The blood of your blood will serve me now.
We're so tainted.
Yep. They summoned a giant tree guardian. You guys killed the tree guardian by Chad paralyzing it, while after you had fireballed it up the wazoo, while while your paladin reached his hand into its mouth and pulled out this gem which was keeping it going, killing the thing. So it was pretty epic. as he's
Yes.
being chewed on by it. So he's already in its mouth, and he's like, "Oh, it's not chewing on me now."
Because Chad held it once, and we attacked it again, which made
Broke
it
it.
start moving again.
Yep.
And Chad's like, "No, don't attack it. I'm going to do that again."
Strahd mocked you, was flying off to Krezk. They had a kick-ass cart chase where dire wolves were chasing them and like trying to jump on the back of it because there was like wine barrels in the back of it, and they were hitting the side, going after the horses. So like I think Chad's character was like at the reins while Mike was up next to him, while you and like Megan were in the back, like you and the rogue were in the back fighting them off. And then like you went around the sharp corner and like hit it into the side of like a rock, so when the wheel was kind of damaged, so you were hanging down off the side to mend the wheel while you're at high speed so it doesn't like wobble off, while like Mike's holding off direwolves snapping at your neck.
Yes. It was very epic. I spent like 5 turns casting Mend on a wheel.
Trying to keep it together because it's like shaking ridiculously. And then you guys got to Krezk, where you fought with some werewolves, where totally your cleric and your rogue were both afflicted with lycanthropy. Strahd was going after Arena.
Which we killed her to save her.
Your cleric basically arrowed her to death in order to save her.
And then our cleric sacrificed himself basically to Strahd because he didn't want to be a cleric anymore.
That's really the reason, but it really did keep him at bay.
Yes.
The last thing they saw was totally him getting bit in the neck. At least one of them did.
Which may or may not... He may or may not
Chris
come back
Perkins, the writer, has approved the fact that werewolf vampires exist.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris Perkins.
We may have an abomination cleric to deal with in the
future.
future.
Chris Perkins, thank you for everything you've told me. You give such great ideas. Or inspire such great ideas. There's also like storylines I've forgotten to add in that I keep remembering that I have to like by discussing these I've had like, oh yeah, I gotta do that storyline now. They went to the abbot of the temple that's there, made a deal to basically resurrect Irina, went to go get a wedding dress back in Vallaki, where their new ranger that joined them basically took a bunch of random nobodies, drug them into the forest. It was like a little boy, some drunkards, and an old senile man who's like crazy. Convinced the 4 of them that this like random candelabra he has is a powerful artifact that they just managed to find. Manages not to get any of them killed. Get back to town, and then the little boy gets like rolls a nat 20 on his persuasion or his storytelling charisma check of guess what we just did.
While the rogue and I were trying to rally the town with a speech that failed, this works.
So, because the burgomaster was like, I'm going to help you out if you rally the town because my captain of the guards is, like, out of sync, you know? So, epic tale, everybody's rallied, you know, this somehow works. You guys end up going and finding the Mad Wizard, who the Mad Wizard doesn't have remove curse.
I'm gonna let you continue. I'll be right back.
Okay. The boy who called Strahd. It really was. And to prove it was magical, he had this like little knickknack he had found that always had a magical aura to it, and he hung it on there because it was supposed to be like the candelabra of fire, and this always was cold. It was like this little like dragon pendant that was cold. So now he's like, it's the festival, then they're going to have a festival of fire and ice. So it's like, yeah, if someone detects magic on it, it's magic. So so they found the wizard. They're like, can you stop a curse? He's like, no, wait, I can do something. Great idea. I'm insane. Just choose not to change back. It's an option for you. Just wait here while I concentrate on a spell for an hour for it to become permanent. Except to shape changers who can change back at any time. So he decided, what's something I can change this rogue into? Medusa. It's the same CR. She's level 5, CR 5. Have some goggles so you don't turn people into stone. So she's a Medusa. So they're like, we have to get rid of this curse. So they head off to the Amber Temple. And I'm going to leave off with them heading off to the Amber Temple because, well, there's interesting things that go on there. Game thought that lycanthropy was just constipated. The thing is, because Joe's not here, I actually didn't judge whether the person had lycanthropy. I think they failed their save, technically, but they never saw her actually change, so I just played it by ear. Oh, hi, Damien. So I was mean, and they never saw it. Hi, Damien. Meow. I'm Damien. I'm here to interrupt a stream. Meow, 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 meow. I'm a rude little girl. You can be on my lap. Yep. They never actually saw her change into a werewolf. So, yep, dungeon cat. She's a good dungeon cat. She likes to sleep on the table when role-playing. But why don't I move on to... let's finish up with that and move on to... Gaming Sage advice. So if anybody has anything... Oh, it's been a great campaign. Oh, it really has. It's been fun. Exercised my craziness a little bit without going too far. Because they have solved... truthfully speaking, they have managed to get to the point where they've undone the curse and she's no longer Medusa anymore because that... It had its upsides and downsides. Upsides, tank for hit points. Downsides, it wasn't doing a lot of damage anymore. So sort of like traded damage, which she was actually able to do a lot of, for tank, which actually helped in with the Amber Temple, which they ended up in. But yeah, so we will do Gaming Sage advice, which okay. Question on DM slightly fudging rolls. That's a really good question. Actually, that's perfect. Thank you, Olorant. So, for those of you in the VOD, Olorant has basically suggested, I guess I'll paraphrase the question a little bit for you. What would be an opinion on a DM fudging rolls? And this is an interesting one to discuss. And we'll have Joe's side on it when he gets back. But for me, when I'm forced to do something like Roll20, I can't fudge a roll, really. That doesn't allow it because of the electronic system. But when I'm in my normal game... I will admit I've done it a couple of times, but it's normally when I'm doing fudging, I go by some of the basic rules of it if I'm going to do it. First off, you don't want your players to really know you're doing it. That's a definite thing. You avoid it completely. If your players find out about it, well, they're going to assume you might use it when you're doing things. For me, when I use fudging, it's for a couple of reasons. One, something's going on in the story that it makes sense to. 2, sometimes I have been known to fudge just to add a little bit more challenge. Not deadly challenge, but to make things feel a little bit more epic. Like, all of a sudden, you're about to strike that final blow against something, and, you don't feel as on edge. Maybe there's not a lot of tension or something. You might, it's like, maybe it has a little extra hit points or something. Because it's rather than taking the average, maybe you're like, oh, let's take maybe it had a little bit more than average hit points. Because most of the time, when you're using, a monster, you're taking the average. And that's, a little fudge there that's easy and makes sense to make. It's like, oh, it had a little bit more hit points. It's still within the norm, because you could have rolled those out. But, it might add a little bit more to a combat. For general die rolls for D20s, the killing blow more dynamic, dramatic, definitely, just a little bit more. Sometimes, I go by if you do something stupid and get yourself killed, it's on you. If you died epically in some kind of way or in the midst of battle, just generally, it's on you. But if something stupid happens that's not your fault that might kill you, I might fudge something. Or basically, that one might not be dice rolls. I might roleplay a fudge for that one. I like to do that a little bit more. D20 rolls are usually just... I use them more for storyline if I'm doing anything like that. You know, if it makes sense for like maybe I'm rolling stealth for something that it makes sense for them to be catching people off guard, I might roll. And if it's like a crappy roll, I might say like, oh, you know, I might go for it. The thing is, it's like the times to use it, you have to use your judgment on it. Use it wisely. And remember this, when you're doing it, you as the dungeon master or game master could make anything up you want. You don't actually need to roll dice, technically speaking. The dice roll, for you, is to add a level of randomness to it. A little bit of chance that you're just not narrating everything. That's the point of it. But technically speaking, you don't know to roll everything. Your players roll stuff, and you might feel like you want to follow the rules with your players, but you don't need to. You don't. So, don't feel guilty about it if you actually do it. Just also, again, try not to let your players know when you're doing it. Like, if you do it, like, they might get an idea that maybe you'll do something in your game somewhere, like if you've done it in the past. Like, Joe would know I might do something to fudge something. But the fact is, he doesn't know what game I'm going to do it in. He doesn't know where I'm going to use it. He doesn't know, like, anything like that. It's like, in fact, it's like some games, like Curse of Strahd, I haven't done a lot of anything in. It's been a lot of dice where the rolls, you know, and most of the kind of fudging is non-dice rolled stuff, you know. Just, it's, and that I wouldn't call fudging, I'd call altering the story.
Yeah, well, fudging as a DM, it's a necessity at times.
Yeah.
You know, it sometimes it just makes the story better.
Mm-hmm. Very true. It's got to be based on the way you want the story to go. Definitely. And it's always tough to choose when you're going to fudge a roll. As I just said, or just basically alter things. And it like the idea of the cheating also does kind of move into changing the rules a little bit too. I mean, that's also part of this discussion that we have to really kind of add in there too. Because the fact is, like, the rules are one thing, but again, since it's your world, you could alter them as you need be. It's just, again, you have to use your judgment and know when to do it and when not to do it. You have to be fair. It's hard sometimes to be fair. And you want to try to be a little consistent. So if you change a rule, try to keep with it. Like, if there might be a time where it's like, I'm changing this rule because of these circumstances, because it doesn't make sense to use that rule there. Well, if the circumstance come up again, sure. Other than that, if it makes sense for the normal rule, also sure. You can see,
like, I'm doing lightning bolt underwater.
Yeah. Maybe I might say, like, oh, if you use lightning bolt underwater, it becomes an area effect instead, you know?
Right.
But yes, you want that consistency. Consistency is the big thing. People like consistency. Granted, again, there are times when you can alter things and it might be behind the scenes. That point, it's harder for consistency to exist because your players don't know about it if you've done something behind the scenes. But I'd recommend keeping consistent with what you've decided most of the time. And if you're doing behind the scenes stuff, do it for story's sake. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes, that's the perfect line, Orient. Sometimes you just got to do what is awesome. And that's the point of it, because it's everybody has fun, everybody remembers it. It's what you want. You know, it's like throwing together rules for a direwolf car chase, or cart chase, through Curse of Strahd, where I'm, like, improvising stuff up the wazoo. There's, like, no rules for this. This is, like, make some checks here, make some attacks there, do this here, do that there. It was just made to be fun, and it was. And it's
memorable.
It's the most memorable scene, I think, in the entire game that I did there, is the Mad Max chase with direwolves. That was, like, probably the most epic scene in there, and it was wonderful.
It was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. On both sides, you know, it's fun.
Even hanging off a wagon, casting men was fun.
Yes, like it's like you remember it, and you're like, oh my god, this is wonderful. So you can see, like, when we talk about cheating and fudging, there's like all levels to it. There's just not one answer to it. But I guess the simple answer will be use it wisely, but don't be afraid to use it when it helps. You just have to know when it's going to help too. And that takes some experience. So I'd say if you're a new Dungeon Master or Game Master, just to finish this off, try to either not use it or use it very sparingly if you're going to use it. Like, wait for those key times. Like, again, maybe it's player dying in such a way you're like, that kind of sucks for them and it was random chance that they're dying. Save them. Again, maybe instead of die roll, like if they're falling off a bridge, hey, maybe they land such a way that they only get hit water or something rather than rocks. They get lucky. That, maybe if they were supposed to hit rocks, you just pretend that you rolled the die that they were going to hit by rocks. You basically fudge the circumstances of it. See?
Right, or if they would have took 20 damage, which would kill them, they took 18 instead.
Yeah. I mean, that is like... That's a little harder to do because then you sometimes, like... It's like, I feel like keeping track of players' hit points is a hard thing because sometimes you want to ask, like, what hit points do you have? And then you have to sort of keep an eye on it. Because then you, when you ask someone before something bad happens, you get the feeling that they might save you sometimes. That's...
Right.
You don't really necessarily want that. Anyway, why don't we finish up for today, because I think we're done with Sage Game Advice. Thank you once again, Olorant, for the great questions. Thank you for the new backdrops. If everybody's seen it, that's behind us now. He also did he did all the stuff for it now. So the new Discussing Tabletop front image, the background here we have here, our little like frames. Thank you very much. You did a very great job, and thank you for just, getting it done. It looks very cool. It's awesome.
Yeah, it looks really great.
So, I got to figure out if the font I've been using works or if I want to change things around. That's the only thing I think I have to work on, is figure out if there's a better font to go along with this. Because I like using League Gothic. But, going off on another conversation. Comic Sans. So, again, so we'll be back next week. Sounds like we're going to have a Magic the Gathering guest I've arranged. I'm going to show you if I can get one more. We'll talk more about spoilers from Amonkhet. We'll see what else is out. Maybe I can grab, if there's something Dungeon Dragons, maybe I can also grab a Dungeon Dragons guest and we can get a couple people together. That'd be awesome. Get a fourth player. Let's hope for that. We'll see. Tomorrow will be Treasure of the Lost Legion, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So same time as this one, but tomorrow, Sunday, we'll probably play for like 2 or 3 hours. Back to the normal game. We should have all the players there. We're ready for it.
Cool.
Next video game stream will be tomorrow night. If I can't get Winter Bear, I will probably try to finish up my Civilization game since I'm almost done the Immortality run that I'm on. Then we'll switch back to Stardew Valley. If any of you follow that and watch that, that's the schedule for that. I know videos are a little behind again because I always somehow manage to get them behind, but somehow catch up to. I'll probably get a few things out today still, and then chug a whole bunch out tomorrow in between streams and stuff. I should be able to catch up by like Monday, if latest, if not before then. So that'll be videos. Nothing new on the channel for updates other than that. Gathering the Roll will be out on Tuesday, which if you want an idea of the stories that are coming up, usually I mention all the stories for the week there. If you aren't going to be in chat and you want to leave us a question to discuss or have a suggestion for a topic that you might want us to talk about, you can check out the email discussingtabletop@yahoo.com. Leave it there. Go ahead and check out Olorant's work. If you want to leave your Twitter, if you're still here, Olorant, you are. If you want to leave your Twitter handle there, maybe, just so people have a link to it, I'll put a link for you in the description of the VOD. So. Just to support your work. Olorant does some awesome commissions and stuff too, and very awesome work. So I would recommend it. Great person to have in chat too.
Agreed.
Also hoping to be a guest sometime. Maybe next week we can get you on as, another guest too. So get 4 people. I'd be up for that. But all right, everybody. I hope everybody had a great time. We're never going to get away from animal themes, but that's fine. Joe, of course, has everything to... I let you promote things, but you only promote my stuff.
Yes, because that's all I'm doing at the moment, so...
for one-shots, I am trying to have a one-shot with DMs next Saturday. I was talking to a bunch of DMs that do stuff online. I'm going to try to have a one-shot with them next Saturday. I don't know if it's going to happen. It will be after Discussing Tabletop, before I play playing Curse of Strahd. We'll find out. Hopefully I can finish arranging that. Hopefully.
Cool.
So we'll see about that. And until then, the next time, farewell.
See you next weekend.